Hello and welcome back to the Work Hates podcast. We are here today with the one and only Brett Blake.
Hello, welcome. I'm back.
And it's me, Bron Lewis, and our dear friend, fellow comedian Claire Hooper. Welcome to the pod.
Cool.
Welcome. Can you tell that me and Bron had rehearsed that before you got here?
Did you?
Yeah. We workshopped it. We're like,
tell.
how are we going to do this intro so it feels natural? And I think we nailed it.
Oh, look.
I liked, my favourite bit was the bit where Bron gestured to Brett by holding her hand over my face.
Please.
And, sorry, line? Brett Blake. Yeah.
Bretty Blake.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've nailed it. This is only the second time we've recorded this podcast. We don't know the order that they're going to come out in.
I feel like now we've said this is number 2. It's got to be number 2.
Yeah.
The room stinks. You can address
the
it.
The room smells terrible, and
our first guest, who we can't name, shat himself. So no, he did not. He did not.
His story was about shitting himself, and because there seems to be.
So this is the memory of the story in the air.
Yes,
it's the ghost of his past. Is in this room,
and his past smells worse than this, so it's very forgiving.
It's weird. I'm really, really hungry. And it's
the
really
end.
I wasn't before.
How much more confronting is a bad smell when you're hungry?
Also, shout out to my mate at the Belfry for letting us use his venue for free.
Yes.
But yeah, fix the plumbing, dude. It stinks. Or
is it the one element that hasn't left the room when Dill left?
Oh yeah, you were here before we got here.
No, are you guys ganging up on me because you're best friends and trying to blame me for shitting myself? Because I will buckle under pressure. It was me, guys. You've got me. Fuck.
But you're right. When you're really hungry and there's a horrible smell, you're like, what would I
It's
eat?
almost like... It's like your stomach's so empty the smell goes strate to the stomach lining or something.
Are you saying a foul smell is currently filling your stomach?
That's what it feels like.
Oh, lucky
Yum,
girl.
yum, 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 yum.
Well, this podcast, Claire Hooper, by the way, is about nightmare work stories. So it could be a really horrible job. It could be a really horrible boss. It could be a horrible work colleague. Or if you had none of those things... What's the problem?
It's fucking you.
Yeah,
You're the
it was
fucking
you.
problem. But that could be a workplace thing though. People who do big shits in the office. Imagine you're in an accounting firm.
Yeah.
All right, I'm deep in here, right? Imagine you're in a small office, one toilet, someone's blasting away. The whole office can hear it. Next thing you know, that smell is in. Why
can they hear it?
Sorry, this is just a hypothetical. This is not a real story.
This isn't just
You're just
happened.
offering great levels of detail.
I'm just saying you're in a small office. Someone,
Have you ever worked in an office?
have a look at me. No.
Yeah, you have.
No, I haven't. No, I've never worked kind of an office.
There was this office you shat in once, but
Yeah,
you didn't
that's right.
technically work
Is
there.
this an office? Yeah. I've done so many shits in people's offices. I was a furniture removalist. When you have to go site to site, and you'd always have to do a deuce. You got to really strategically. Also, you'd sometimes
Is it all the lifting with the knees? Is that what it? When you have to engage
It
the
would
cord,
be.
does it really hurry things along?
Yeah, it's that and the 14 beers I've had the night before. Just sweating bullets and need a shit in someone's house. There's nothing worse, and you got to really do it quickly so it looks like a piss. This is not how I thought this podcast would go.
Especially with Claire Hooper. She's a nice lady.
I know, and we're talking about. We're talking about deuces
to
now.
be honest, lead him there.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But so no one's ever worked in an office where there's been a bad
A
pooper?
loud tutor.
Have you?
There used to be. I used to work at the school, and there would be the ladies' toilets always smelled so badly. And this one woman who was so cranky all the time walked into the office. What is it called? Toilets. Walked into toilets and just went, "I'm fucking sick of this stinky bathroom. You're all pigs." And then walked in. We all had to be like, she's not wrong. Like, we're disgusting. Someone is disgusting. Someone's unwell.
Someone needs to have a better biome. Is that the correct word?
Yeah, I think it
For your-
is.
for
And
your-
it's
yeah.
a surprise that it was you.
Yeah. Man, it was only because I was watching a thing on South Park about people shitting and someone was stealing someone's poo and they called it a biome. So that's how I got to that.
Well
Yeah.
done. Oh, well, it doesn't matter how you got there. You got there, and
did.
I'm really proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, Hoops, do you have a really horrible work story? Shall I start with one that someone's written in? And I want you to.
Oh my gosh, yes please.
Yes, please. Great.
All right.
Yeah,
So
all right.
we've not done this before, but people have been sending in.
Just to make me not look like a fuckhead, I hope it's a story about someone shitting in a small office. I'm like, yes, I knew I wasn't going down a dark path for no reason.
No, it is So a bunch of people have sent some stuff in, and some of them I absolutely can never use because, oh my gosh, the world is a bad place. But this one, all right. So this was from a teacher, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I remember teaching blood typing to my Year 11 bio students in my first year. I was young and enthusiastic and had them go home and find out what their family blood types were to make a family tree. One of the girls figured out that what her blood type was and that it didn't match her parents. She was one of the only people that listened to me in class, so she actually knew what she was doing. I had to start to backpedal when she provided me with the evidence, and I had to say things like, look, maybe it's just not correct and maybe it's just not the right reading. And she absolutely knew that I was making it up. Turns out that the dad wasn't actually the dad and the mum had done the dirty. And I don't remember the parents ever coming back to any of the conferences after that. And then he finishes with, come to think of it, it's not a really funny story after all.
Yeah, I was waiting for the punchline. I was like, when does this get good? It's like,
But imagine that.
hey, guess what? Your dad's not your dad. Hilarious. Your whole family's ruined. Yeah,
If you have a shit dad, that would be a great story.
That's true. You don't know if he's a shit dad. Yeah.
My husband was obsessed for many years with the idea that his parents weren't his real parents. He was. So have you seen his You've seen his family.
I've met his
he
mum. I
looks
love her so much.
the same. Like
Yeah.
you put his sister and him together, and it's like, oh, you thought you were not of that family. Like he was just waiting for his real parents to rescue him for most of primary school.
That's probably the most depressing thing when you find out your parents are actually your parents. You're like, fuck, they're me. Damn it.
I think it's very confronting when you see yourself starting to look like one of your parents. You know that app on your phone where you can age yourself or make yourself into a baby or the opposite gender. And when I made myself an old lady, I turned into my mum. Like
Really?
Straight into my mum. I sent it to everyone in my family, and they were like, "Whoa, are you all right?"
Are you all right?
Not really, actually. And
Put the vodka down.
And then my mum was like, make me old. And
Oh,
then
no.
I tried to make her old. But it just went to the exact same picture.
It's like, you've already done it. We can't do it twice. Just bullying your
As old
mum.
as it gets, Ellen.
Even the computer couldn't figure it out. It's like, I can't get any worse than this. Yeah.
She's lovely, but she's
She is.
absolutely...
She's
Just shows the
not
tombstone.
that old.
She's old.
All right.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Is she 80?
No.
70.
She's like almost 70.
Yeah.
And she lived a life. She had 5 kids. She was a single mum. God.
Single mum,
Amazing.
5 kids.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why
a
you're tough.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
really
that's
tough.
so rough.
She's earned that face.
She's earned that face.
Yeah, it's a great face.
It's a beautiful face. It's a
It's a
weathered
lovely
face.
face.
Yeah, right.
She's just seen some things, lived her life. But when someone says you went with your iPhones know everything. When the iPhone says your future is this, that's confronting. You know?
Technology doesn't always help. There you go. You heard it here first on this podcast, guys.
And
You know
so-
what? You might look like Helen, but you'll still have your winning personality.
Oh, that's great.
what's the
Mum
problem?
also has it. Mum is very
She's pretty
lovable.
fun.
She's actually really great. Yeah. My sister sent me a picture last night. Sorry, this is not anything to do with anything. My sister sent me a picture.
That's every podcast ever, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, of my mum flashing her.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because they were obviously having a few
Recent?
drinks. Yeah, last night. And then
Okay.
they were all having a few drinks, and my sister loves stirring up her husband, who
What a great joke. Here's my mum's tits. Got ya.
He's very confronted by things like nudity.
Yep.
Anyway, Amy, my sister, loves making him uncomfortable. So he said, "Hey, Mum, show us your tits." Didn't think Mum was going to do it. Mum went, did that. And my sister sent it to her husband.
Wait, so no, hang on. There's a step missing.
Yeah.
She got her tits out.
Yeah.
Then your sister took a photo
Yeah,
of the tits.
She was ready to go.
Ready to
Just
go.
in case Mum did it.
Okay.
And Mum did it, and then she
she's
took
like,
it-
you know who'll love this? My boyfriend. Bang.
Yep. Said it to him. He said, for all your mum's faults, she's got lovely breasts.
Well, that was very nice.
That's
of him,
actually quite
wasn't
nice.
it?
Anyway, then I showed it to Lucas, my partner, today, and he said to me 2 hours later, "I can't get that image out of my head."
Why would you show you? That would traumatize me. His mum was like,
Really?
here's your mum's tits. You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
Look,
thank you.
I think Lucas is. When I get home, he probably won't be there anymore. So
He's left you for your mum?
Mate,
They are great tits.
did you really show him your mum's tits, or did you just photograph your tits and put them in the aging app?
Yeah. Same thing.
Same tits.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Was
Then you-
he still into it? No, he wasn't.
Next
it's
time
not-
you send him a
not
nude,
good.
it's like, oh, is that your mum's tits again? You're like, no, they're fucking mine, all right?
Next time you send him a nude, I would love to hear you'd send.
Never.
Oh gosh,
I
a nude.
I don't think you do
So
that
funny.
after 11 years. Do you do that after 15 years?
No,
Freddie, how long have you been with your partner for?
I've been with her 4 years.
You sending nudes?
Twice.
Yep.
I don't feel good about it. You know what I mean? Like it's nice, but then sometimes you're like, oh, I'm gonna go find a photo of the cat or a nice dinner we went on, and you scroll through, and then you see you aggressively. You know what I mean? And going like, oh, I don't need to see that. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to see your own.
you
photo.
don't need to see.
Nah.
You should get rid of that.
Yeah, but it's on Facebook, and you there's no delete button for it.
What do you mean it's on Facebook?
Facebook Messenger, which apparently you're not meant
Yes,
to.
there is.
Is
I'll
there?
help you. We'll do it after. Oh, wait on.
Nah, I think we need to wait a few more months for this relationship
I'll
to
show
be
you.
like in a
I'll
good.
show you how to delete it.
Oh, okay, great.
But I won't look at your willy.
Yeah.
No.
God.
Hoops.
Yes.
Have you had a nightmare job? Have you been a nightmare? Have you worked with someone who was a nightmare?
I keep cycling through stories. Like, as in, just the whole time we've been sitting here, I'm like, oh, no, that one. Oh, no, that one. Now,
Yeah.
I know, I happen to know Bron wants a particular story from me, but it's not that good a story.
You don't have
The
to do
story
it.
ends at where I work, because it was actually it wasn't an ideal job for me, and it only lasted a few weeks. I worked on the adult phone lines back in Perth.
Oh my god, I love this. I probably called you.
No, because your calls would have gone to Eastern States girls.
Oh, is that how that works? So they send them.
Yeah. Pretty
why?
sure, or at least they told us that to make us feel better about the possibility of our fathers ringing us.
I reckon
but
they
we were
absolutely did not go to the Eastern States.
No.
No
pretty
way.
sure.
Because it's
pretty
a time,
sure.
It's a time. Was it 4 hours difference?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
it
need to
actually,
have-
you could actually, because our busy hours were different to when you'd think that, like as in, so it meant that, if you clocked on for a 6 a.m. shift, you were actually getting those like the lonely hours calls from the Eastern States.
Yes.
Your shift starts at 6 a.m.
Oh, your shifts would be, there were always people there.
24 hours.
There were always people there. And
There's always sad men around wanting to call someone.
people have got weird, like people have different work shifts. Also, let's not I didn't hear one person that sounded sad.
Oh, really?
Thank you very much.
They all sound horny.
You sounded happy to be there.
Happy to be there?
No. There was a huge amount of there were a lot of calls where you're like, this is their first time.
Oh.
P.S.
Quick phone
That's
call.
an easy one.
Yeah,
They're like, this is very straightforward.
But did
There
they
are-
just say, I don't usually do this? I don't usually
No, you could just
call."
hear it in their. You could hear
Really?
somebody not knowing.
this may
how
be
it-
a dumb or an obvious question. Are they jacking it? What's going on?
Yeah, most of the time,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Yeah, I didn't know whether it was like a chatty thing.
It
or...
was so interesting. Dream job for Bron. It was so interesting because some people did want to chat. So it was like it cost a lot of money. If it got over 15 minutes, it cost a lot. If it got to 30 minutes, it would automatically shut off, like it cut off, and they'd have to call back if they wanted more chat.
Oh.
Is that in case they actually fell asleep or something?
Yeah, exactly right.
Or a
'Cause
kid
it's-
rang up or something or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how many people just seem to want a long drawn out chat. Like I remember one guy sounding like super stoned, and he was describing, and he's the gardener, and you're wearing this bathing suit. Like he did all the work, and also it took forever. It was like it didn't feel like he was goal oriented.
Yes.
And that's fine. Like you're just there for the chat. So some people would be like really just telling you what the story was for ages.
Yeah.
And then other people would just be like, it would be the shortest call ever. There was no point you playing for a bonus.
Okay.
Because you were like, this is going to be done. So actually, if you're not going to get your 15-minute bonus, you may as well just wrap up as fast as possible.
Yeah, yes. Are they like, this is a story, this is what you're wearing, now go? And do you think your improv background helped you?
Yeah, that's actually really
This was before I did improv. So this was more like
This is
when
your
I
training
started,
ground.
when I started improv, I just had a heap of handy go-tos that the Hoo-Ha did actually
Is
tell
this
me
your
were
comedy
in.
origin story?
Yeah, this is my comedy origin story.
It does sound like How old were you? I'm upset. How old were you when you did this?
I'm sorry. This is not my story, by the way. This is not a good. This is not
but
a good
okay, but
work
I could-
story.
alright.
No, I'm loving it.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, I did not know this about you.
I know. That's what I assumed.
Everyone's done a million jobs though.
Yes.
Like we've all done jobs that aren't like perfectly in our wheelhouse, and this one was like not. So I was at uni with a girl who was doing it, and for ages she told us she worked on a like doctor's paging service. So she told us that the phone lines were, if they needed a doctor, her job was. It was a ridiculous cover story, but she got herself through uni with that because she was from the country, so she needed to pay rent. And she was a close mate, and she was like, give it a go, it's pretty easy. And I did it for 3 weeks, and then I got another job, which was lucky because I don't know how long I would have lasted. Like I didn't really love it. It was fine. I was fine at,
Really?
like I was studying drama at the time.
Yep.
And it's like, it's just a performance,
Yeah.
but it's really repetitive, and sometimes you're not in the mood for playing along.
I can't imagine I'd ever be in the mood for
Yeah,
that.
you'd be like,
We're like, excuse me.
yeah,
but
like
you'd be
I
like,
answered like hello, and you'd be like, no thanks.
Hurry up and come. Hurry up. Now. Go.
All right, what do you need?
What do you need? Like in the
Did they ever ask you?
Well, a lot of people would open with
Can you tell me
what you're doing or where you are, or whatever like that.
Or
yeah.
did they say this?
Yeah,
is what
I think
it is?
mostly people wanted you to take the lead,
Yes.
and it was really tricky because when I was working there, anti-solicitation laws were coming in, which meant that technically we weren't allowed to say what we wanted to do. We had to say, what would you like to do? So we had to get, so a lot of people didn't, like a lot of people wanted the work done for them. But actually, technically, we weren't allowed to. It was solicitation if we said, here's what I'm going to do to you. Do you know what I mean? So we had to get them to set the parameters and then play along.
right. I'll be like, man, this is $15 for a minute. You need to do some fucking work. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing the heavy lifting as well. What is this, Coles self-checkout? Fuck you. Put this through for me.
You know what?
you
But
do
that would be someone's yum, wouldn't it? Freddie Blake being surly at them.
Oh,
For
God.
some
Man,
people,
but, hey, look,
some people would love that.
everyone's got, don't yuck someone's yum, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone's got something different.
Did you ever hang up on people?
Yeah, I think I only hung up on someone. We were absolutely allowed to say this doesn't make me comfortable, or I don't find this sexy, or you know what I mean. Like if somebody went dodgy,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and don't yuck somebody's yum, but there are some things that are just not legal.
Really, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Correct.
if somebody wants you to tell them you're 14, then it's absolutely reasonable
Bye,
to be
mate.
like, I don't feel comfortable. Goodbye.
Just hang on the line a little bit more. And we've got to drag her on there. You know, send the cops
Get
over.
him.
Yeah.
Bash him. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I only did that once.
And
It's
the
a
rest
weird.
of the time, very comfortable.
I remember, I won't say the name because how much did you get paid out of this, by the way?
did I say
people?
how old I was? I don't, because I can't even remember, and I
In
bet it was
uni.
something like
22.
I think it was 23-ish.
Okay,
It was
I was
after
wrong.
uni. It was post
Forgive me.
uni because I feel like I feel like I can remember who I was with at the time.
Did you get paid heaps of cash?
Yeah. it's a
The
good
money was
question.
really good for what it was, and when you
Yep.
were fresh from uni.
Yeah, right.
Actually, it wasn't a lot.
Yep.
But at the time, it felt like riches because if you did get the bonuses, it was a lot of money for being basically in a tracksuit reading magazines until the phone rang.
Right. My a relative, I won't be specific, he knows who he is, stayed at our house for a week. And then a month later, we got like a $900 phone bill.
My goodness.
And then my mum and dad are like, out of the two boys, Brett, get in here. And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, who would I call? Like, I call my mate Nassim like twice a week, but I'm pretty sure that's 20 cents or whatever. And I didn't know what was going on. And they're like, well, yeah, they're screaming. Of course it was you. And then they went, oh, yeah. And I was like, do you remember someone else who was staying here who was an adult who loves it? Maybe that was
Claire
him.
Hooper all the time.
So, yeah, you may have spoken to a relative. He was jacked at the time, so enjoy.
You're welcome. She paid him.
Yeah. It's not all bad. Yeah.
You owe Brady Blake's mum $900.
So expensive. It was something
Super
crazy, like
big.
$15 an hour or
If
something.
it's a lot of. I don't think we were getting paid as much as they were paying.
Right.
But it felt like good money at the time, and
So wasn't it a nightmare job to you? I'm just fascinated by it because it
it
just
wasn't
does
a
not
nightmare,
fit
but it wasn't.
what I would see you doing ever.
And it was just a disconnected acting job.
Yeah, because you're not seeing
but
it. You're not in there. You're just kind of.
Yeah, you're not
watch. It's not like a webcam nowadays.
You're at such a distance, and you're so safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I think it's great.
And whenever, if I had to describe myself, I never looked like I looked. Like
Yeah.
I would always describe someone else.
Okay.
Because
Brett Blake.
then I'm not. It would always be.
I've got a mullet. I love dirt bike racing. The reason he's got a smile on his face now. David Walsh just won. Thank you. Shout out to Walshy.
Cool. Brady Blake just made me watch a
Yeah.
motorbike race. Nothing happened in it.
Yeah, it did. There was a
Sorry,
webcam at the end, and we saw
Yeah.
David cross the line. That's all that matters.
That's great.
But speaking of jobs out of place, I did mention one on the last episode.
Yes.
I used to work at a daycare centre.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
that really works. Gosh, you would have been
I didn't want to work
you
there.
would have been an asset.
No, I
you
hated
worked
it.
with the
I
kids.
hated
What were you
it.
doing?
So the
Which
only
room
reason
were you in?
I don't know. I was a driver. So yeah.
Sorry, I
One
thought
of
the
those little
daycare
round
centres were
yellow cars.
stationary.
No. I used to pick the kids up from school. After school care.
Oh,
and drop them off to
after-school
school care in the
Right,
morning.
right.
And then during the day, I'd be there for a little bit, but there wasn't much for me to do. So my shift was like 7 till 10 and then 2 till 6. And I was a driver, but the reason I got the job, because I broke my hand on a slippery slide. Hilarious. Sober. And
At the daycare.
no. At
Do you know what's great? You can just call it a slide.
yeah. It could have been a dry slide.
So you're saying it was a water slide?
It was a water slide.
Is that what a slippery
That's
slide
what a slippery
is?
slide is, yeah.
It's a slippery slide, a water slide.
Am I being mocked on my own podcast? First, I've been accused of shitting my pants. Now this. I deserve it. I broke my hand and then I got fired from the job at Toll, which we'll get to later. But I broke my hand and I didn't want to be on benefits. And my mate's mum owned a daycare centre and they're like, don't worry, we'll just get you a job driving because you can drive a bus. So I just used to drive a bus with one hand and pick up all these kids.
Full of children.
Full of children. Now you think about it, it's pretty fucked. Yeah,
absolutely.
But I knew the boss, so it was fine. And but the bus had like, it was like a forklift. It had a little thing like so you could turn it. So it was fine. I could still do the job. It was
Yeah, that
automatic.
thing.
Yeah, I was doing that. Yeah. So I'd pick up the kids, but I hate it. I'm not good with kids, and I'm uncomfortable around them. You know what I mean? Like I don't.
Yeah, I don't see. I'm surprised by that. I think you'd be really good with kids.
I'm happy to play basketball, but they're like, cut some sandwiches. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. But I feel uncomfortable around younger kids as well. You're like, do people think I'm a pedo or something? I don't know. I feel
says a lot about you, actually.
yes, I'm suspicious of other people, and if I saw a grown man at a daycare center, I'm like,
With a
that
broken
guy
arm.
is sus. Yeah.
Yeah, something about the broken arm makes you
Hanging
look,
up. Was
It's
the one
actually a
like
broken
that?
wrist from you know what. Yeah.
Calling Claire Hooper.
Go on, Claire Hooper.
Well, so jobs that just didn't fit you. Oh, my job that didn't fit me was Supre. When I got, I quit at the same time that I got fired.
I can't imagine you at a super.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's the nicest thing you've ever said.
Thank you. Do you know our parents know each other as well, Claire?
what?
Yeah, because I didn't know this because Mum always goes, how's Claire? She always wants to know how you're doing. But your parents run a nursery or
Garden
something?
centre, yeah.
And my mum gets her flowers from there.
Well, I would have expected because your mum's in Forestfield.
Forestfield,
And I mean,
yeah.
there's lots of good garden centres, but are there many great ones?
No, that's correct.
Definitely worth a 12-minute drive.
It's worth a 12-minute drive. So that's how Mum's always buying. I don't even think she goes. I don't know if they're still working there, but I reckon Mum will just go there just to have a
Oh,
chin
yeah,
wag.
no, my brother's taken it over, but mum and dad are there a lot still.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a real beautiful family business.
And that was your first job though, right?
Yeah, that was my first job.
Was there anything nightmarish about working with your parents?
No,
Or what about in a garden centre?
no,
Oh.
no. It was all pretty easy, pretty nice. I mean, I'd really count the minutes. Like it's one of those jobs where I would, where I'd turn up 1 minute to the hour, and it's like the minute the second hand hit 5, I'm like, bye.
That's
like I
every
really
job
am.
ever. Yeah, I
And
hate them all.
and the breaks, like your break, you make it last until the last second.
Yeah.
It's that weird, because it's such a, like a lot of jobs you're told when to turn up, or like there's a, but I don't know, but it was just this real sense of exchanging minutes of your life for money. Mm-hmm. And so it was just like I was so focused on the clock when I worked there.
Could not
Doesn't sound like you liked it, mate.
think of anything worse than working with my parents.
Yeah,
I'd fucking kill them.
Would you? No, I get along fine with my folks. Really, they were lovely. I got along great with them, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the job mostly.
But you can't get too stressed at a garden centre. I mean, it's a pretty nice job.
There'd be like till snatches and stuff. Like there'd be exciting things.
Really?
Yeah, I chased a guy. A guy.
Is it Maida Vale? Is it? Is it Maida Vale? Yeah, it's still Maida Vale.
But the car, you could tell a bad thing was happening. You know, if the car pulled up, like didn't park, just hovered, then somebody runs out and tries to grab the till.
Oh my God!
And I remember chasing a guy out into the car park. It was like
a whole till? Or
no, because he hadn't got he tried, you know, like the till was actually attached to the desk. It wasn't as easy to snatch as they thought it would be. But there'd always be like, you know, like Osmocote fertilizer scattered all over the ground and like it'd be disarray.
Yeah. Wow.
And so I was in the shop area when I saw him, like this particular guy trying to get into the till, and I just chased him to the door and he ran out and I kicked him in the bum. I was wearing pigtails and sandals and shorts and kicked him in the bum and I went, fuck you. And then he turned around and I'd won because if you, like he couldn't get me back worse. He went, fuck you. But of course, if it's the same thing, it's no.
Did you go, like got you twice?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like I totally won. Kicked him in the bum, went, fuck you, and he went, fuck you, and ran away.
Did he have any money?
And I
that's the same thing.
absolutely, you are not meant to do that, by the way.
No,
like,
you're
do
not.
not engage.
Always engage. Always defend.
Do not engage.
So did he get money?
No, that guy didn't get money.
He just tried to.
No, I racked him off from the till.
You kicked him.
I kicked him in the
Assaulted
bum with a sandaled teenage girl foot. So he must be
With the
feeling.
pigtails.
Oh, so
I mean, has he? I mean, would he still think about that?
Oh, yeah. He's got trauma about that.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's his fetish
Yeah, I know.
now.
I've
You know what I mean?
absolutely.
Why
I
did you do that,
created.
Brett?
You know that's it's like that's a Netflix docuseries, The Making of a Murderer, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's the inciting
Yes.
incident.
And he only murders like girls with pigtails
Pigtails.
and fucking.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh
What have you
no.
done?
What have you
Maybe
created,
you are
mate?
the nightmare.
Yeah.
Turns out it's
Turns
you.
out it was
So
me.
have you had a job that you've hated?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Great.
Comedy, the end. Stand-up comedy, I hate it. And podcasting,
I
bye.
really, see, I want to tell you so many stories of people I hated working with.
Yeah. But what are you worried about?
It's
Look,
recorded.
to be honest, like professionally, there's a story where you would just get, I would be here for hours and it would be so vicious, unnecessarily vicious. Professionally, I'm not going to do that, the story.
Okay.
Okay. Tell us after when the camera's off, though.
Oh, yeah. All right. Here's the thing. Straight after uni, because I did try and do something sensible at uni, I went into occupational therapy and I didn't last. I was like, because I was academically strong at school and it was like, well, you're obliged to do something good if you get good marks. Anyway, it didn't last long. I did a year of it and I arranged the end of year occupational therapy, physiotherapy concert. And
What?
you know, like
There's
as
a concert.
like there was
it's a Rocket Stedford. It was my idea.
there was like a performance at the end and I was in charge of that, and then the head of OT, occupational therapy, was like, do you think you're doing the wrong thing? And I was like, yes, I don't want to do this. And so I changed and I went into
That's good. Yeah.
I changed and went into arts, which had not been a practical subject. Like, as in, my folks run a garden centre. Like, imagine saying I want to do arts. It just didn't. It's not like they told me I couldn't. It's just, as a kid, I knew that was a ridiculous thing to do.
Yeah. It's
When
so
you
ridiculous.
live with practical people, you don't do arts. Anyway, I went and did drama, and so when I got out of drama, it was just a real like, oh my God, all right, I know the one I'm going to tell you now. And it's so, it's just,
Guys
you
and
do
dolls.
so
It's a concert. It's
many-
back on.
So many jobs when you're just trying to make it work.
Yep.
So one of the things I successfully managed to get as a job was theatre and education.
Oh my God, I love it. Yep. Okay, so is
Now-
this you performing?
My first one
To children.
was, I think it was called How the something about the West. Anyway, it was about Western Australian history.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where we rehearsed in someone's lounge room, and then we went on a series of school, where you go into
Oh,
school.
you tour the
you'd go into
schools.
primary school gyms, and you'd carry your tiny falling apart props and set, and you'd put on your tiny raggedy costumes.
Incredible.
And you'd do a story that taught them things. And
They were
it would
always
be
the
songs.
best and worst things that happened at school.
I mean, the
because
kids would love it.
Yeah, but you'd want to stop learning. So you're like, yeah, I'll go out and watch this. But you're like, who are these sad fucks doing this? If this is my life, I'd kill myself.
Yes. And oh my God. And I'd even had I remember being at high school and a theatre and education show came to high school, which they shouldn't exist for high school.
No, they should not.
You could get maybe a
absolutely
motivational
do.
speaker or, like a sport, like an ex-sports star or
That's
something.
scary.
Do not get people to perform a show that has a lesson in it. But these two people, and they had like a, like as in,
A safety cage between us and them. Yeah.
like there was one poster board or something and something went wrong, and I don't know what went wrong. But I know that the other one or two cast members were dealing with the wrong thing and went behind the screen to deal with it, and made one girl, one blonde young woman who was meant to be doing a show to teenagers, they made her sit on a stool and she sang,
Oh, God.
"Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side?" A cappella. So nervously, like they were obviously like, do something while we fix the problem. And then she's like, why me? And then in front of teenagers, she sang a cappella and like a time-filling.
Oh my God.
What is the song called?
Why
songs
is
about
there so
rainbows.
many
What?
songs about
The
rainbows?
Muppets, from the Muppets.
Can you imagine? All I can
I don't know.
see
How is
like,
that your
And
go-to?
I
What's on the
was-
tip of my tongue? This song.
Right? Like what else would you have done? But also, like you'd just say, we're just fixing something.
We're coming
You
back in
would
5,
not-
guys. Who wants the toilet break?
And
I can just
I was
imagine
a
a sea of
good,
Brett
nice,
Blakes.
respectful kid.
Yeah.
And even I was like,
Oh, don't do
Did you
this.
ever get savagely heckled? I reckon you'd get a lot of heckles from it.
no, now I stuck to smart. I stuck to primary school. I just did
Yeah.
primary school shows, and they're really fun because the kids are absolutely it's so fun. Like one of the worst heckles I got was a kid just wet their pants, and the way you're aware of it is suddenly all the other kids are shuffling away and one child is in the middle of a large wet ring. And you've always
And you
got to, and
heckled
then you
them.
just got to kind of look to the teachers for guidance as to, should we continue? Or would you like us to stop while you do it? Like you never, and kids will do things like, oh man, what was one of the best heckles was do something good. Yeah.
That
like,
still hurts me when adults yell that out. Do something funny. You're like, I'm
Right?
trying up here.
oh my God, I loved it. And then you do questions at the end where they can ask more questions about whatever subject matter, but they all just say, are you two married? About the two performers.
Are you guys gonna
100%
kiss?
of the time.
Yeah.
Are you married? And it'd be like, all right, good question about bullying. Thank you.
We had like these at high school, and they had a tough time. It was like they were trying to be maybe religious youth ambassadors. All youth people at high school, their underlying message is, hey, how cool is God?
Yeah.
At our school, Forestwood High School was that. And I remember one time this dude getting heckled and it fucking broke him. Like it was the 15th time he'd been at the school, and we just used to go him all the time. But we all would go because you got free Freddos. And we're like, we don't give a fuck about religion, but we'll go get the free Freddos. We'll yell something at this guy. He'll go home and cry. We're all happy, right? And then
all of us,
because they do
including him,
fun
stoked.
games, Freddo, and then he'll be like, right, serious note, guys. Let me talk about Jesus, right? And then his point was, he goes, see this dolphin torch? I still remember. See this dolphin torch, guys? Now, the dolphin torch, it turns on and off, right, guys? You don't know why it turns on and off. You can't see it. But there's a reason, and that is a lot like God. And then my mate goes, nah, there's a fucking battery in there. And the guy's like, fuck this. And he just like,
True.
He snapped. It was his final. We've been breaking him for years. He's like, fuck this. Just fuck off. And he just never saw him again.
But that's how you've.
Nah.
That's who you've turned into, though. All of your stories end with you going, "Fuck this." I feel like he did show you a lot of
No,
things.
all
Yeah, I
of
learned a
Brett's
lot from that
stories
guy.
end with, and that's a lot like Jesus.
Yeah,
You can't see it, but I love God. Thank you. Just making this poor guy break. Like, nah, there's a battery in there. We know it. There's scientific evidence.
Did anyone snap when you were working with them?
Yeah, so what all right. Oh man. So all right, there's so many stories I could tell you of just miserable like I remember doing a tour of regional South Australia with one
God.
show, and there's 3 of us in the cast and the tour manager.
All in the same car?
And the tour manager absolutely furious to be there. It's been a bit of a demotion for him. He's actually kind of like a bit of a he's a legitimate producer in Perth, and for some reason he's ended up touring theatre and education with it. Anyway,
Shit's gone on.
It was kind of a mate, but he was not on. He it was a step down, and he was going to act like it.
But even if he worked at a servo before that, it would have been a step down.
Down, yeah.
Like I remember, like, yeah, that is true. I remember like a day when we're setting up all the stage and stuff, and he's just like bouncing a basketball in the corner of the gym and completely pretending we're not doing all the work. Like he was so checked out. And my only friend on that production was the other guy, which meant that always
Your
he
husband?
would room
Yes.
with me.
Is he your husband?
Married?
Yeah, married?
So he would
Wedding bells, ding, ding, ding.
So this mate of mine was always hanging out with the surly stage manager, and they'd always room together, and I'd room with the girl who was an interesting one and, you know, like an excellent person, but like I was mates with this one guy. But they were like, they hated her and she hated them. So unfortunately, I was on her team and didn't get to hang with my friend. It was this really weird dynamic.
You're
yeah,
adults.
but pretty young adults.
All
We're
squished
adults
into a Hyundai XL at the end of the thing.
It was so, and I say hate, but no, hate's fair. And oh my God.
It's not called the Work Friend Podcast.
That's right.
Yeah.
Come on, they hated each other. You hated them. It's good. It's normal.
This wasn't even the story I was going to tell.
We brought up trauma. I
Oh my
like
God,
this.
no.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was, okay, so it was this ridiculous thing when we were doing and this isn't an office work story, but it's sadder than working in an office when you work in a van and there are props and sets in the back of a van.
I'm a comedian,
and you're
I know.
in regional South Australia. And so, all right. So
Getting flashbacks to last week on
I feel
Roadshow.
really bad. I just want to send out my respect to everyone else that worked on this production, but it was so weird because they did this Japanese folk tale, but they did it with the Children's Theatre Company in Perth. And so the story we were meant to tell was about this fish and cat who became friends when they were young.
Impossible.
But then when the cat grew up, the fish said, "You are a cat now. Your job is to eat me. We are friends. Eat me with all your heart." Like that's how the translation went. Okay. And so then at the end of the story, the fish had to eat. The cat had to eat the fish.
Yeah.
That's the end of we had to turn that into an hour-long show with these instruments that were giant, like wider than we're sitting, with strings, and you had to wear special gloves and play them by sliding your hands across the strings.
This sounds made
They
up.
were so hard. And there were these poorly tuned ocarinas, so we had to play to, 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 while someone went ooh, ooh, at the back, right? And
Seems like the best sketch I've ever
the guy
seen.
and girl that did not like each other were playing the cat and the fish, who were best friends. And then so in order to perform the bit where the cat ate the fish, they decided to do it through interpretive dance, and it was this long, complicated interpretive dance with sticks to represent the friend eating the friend.
Yep.
And you know who would get interpretive dance? Regional Adelaide.
Oh my God. And this was the only theatre in education production I ever toured where the question wasn't,
You two married?
are you two married? It was always, what happened to the fish? Every time. So
Didn't you
what
watch
happened?
me do this
What
with the dance
happened to
move?
the fish? Yeah, the cat ate the fish. Next question. Are you married? Okay. It was so, and it was just this unnecessarily art house piece to regional
too
South
much.
Australia that nobody in the cast was on board with.
Yep.
We hated the stringography so much, except the girl was the other woman in the cast was the only one that liked the stringography because she was a professional strings player and she cared about it, and we all hated it and wanted it to die. Okay. And we were so sad. And I had my first ever anxiety attack.
Oh,
it was amazing. It was a terrible panic attack. It was the saddest time
I
in all our
remember my
lives.
first as well. It's beautiful. Yeah.
The saddest time in all our lives. It was horrible times touring with this group of people that did not work together and a tour manager that hated that he was there. And they'd, at the very last minute, they tried to trick up this Japanese folktale by coming in and being like, this is too weird, put lots of fart jokes in. So it was this like esoteric Japanese folktale, but it had fart jokes in it.
And did the cat still eat the fish?
Every
just
time.
farted every time.
Every time the cat ate the fish at the end, it got really weird at the end, and the cat ate the fish. And
Got
then,
diarrhea.
but my favourite ever performance of, so the cat and the fish hated each other, and the girl cared about the equipment and was the only one, and we wanted it to die. This giant string
the
graffiti.
worst.
All these.
She's
No,
the
she
nightmare
really
in this
was
story.
great. She was great, but she wasn't my friend. But I was teamed up with her, and I had to hang out with her instead
She
of
was
my
the worst.
friend.
So, yeah, you hate her.
And
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
so
I'd hate her for
serious. She was so serious. The rest of us knew we were on to an absolute dog shit production, and she still kept taking it seriously and oiling the strings on the string graffiti and being like, careful with the string graffiti, as we unloaded it from the back of our touring van and it was just the
much.
worst. And she was the only one that could play it. Like she'd be like, fa, fa, and we'd play it and be like, but we had to. It was awful. It was so awful. And the best and worst ever performance of that show was we'd gotten through all the weirdness and we're watching kids. And
Just
and
not getting
I want
it.
you to know
Why would they though? I
that
still don't get it.
I'm confused.
somewhere I've got the magical thing of this was the one show that we recorded.
Good.
I have
Best and the
vision
worst.
somewhere of
Oh
this
my
happening.
God,
Every
I
now and
want
then I
this.
find this vision again and I
Yes.
watch it and I cry.
Happy tears?
Sort of happy tears. Because it was the interpretive dance bit and all the kids are just staring confused and I'm up the back narrating what was happening in the folktale, and then they're circling each other with these sticks doing this interpretive dance, and there were these 3 stools that we occasionally sat or stood on to tell the story, and as they're circling each other, my beautiful friend, my female friend who was my one good friend on the production, she hit one of the stools, but she recovered. And then as she stumbled to recover, she hit another stool. And she flew into the string graffiti. And
Yes.
she went through the string graffiti
Yes.
bum first.
Oh my
through
God.
the string, through the giant string instrument.
Did she break all the strings?
No, she did. She broke one and stretched many. And she's still carrying her interpretive dance stick. When she just very seriously returned to the interpretive dance of the cat eating the fish and finished the
Miss,
show.
why did you stack it and look like a fuckhead?
Was up the back watching all my dreams come true
Yes.
and trying to keep narrating, and I have footage of it and it's so glorious.
You would have been holding in that laughter so much that you would have got a nosebleed.
I don't
Were you
think,
snickering? Like,
Yeah, I was.
The cat and the fish.
My memory of it was that I didn't completely conceal my laughter.
You couldn't.
How could
Did
you?
your kids
could
laugh?
you?
Because it had been the saddest tour ever.
Yeah.
The saddest tour of sad
And
people
as
doing
women-
the most ridiculous,
Yeah.
stupid job day after day to kids who didn't want it.
Improv, it's all
And-
about being in the moment as well. You got to
That's
react.
And
Hilarious.
you also gotta eat the
Finally,
fish. Was she the one
I
who
watched
liked
the string
strings?
graffiti's
Yeah,
only
yes.
true ally fall through the string graffiti.
Beautiful.
She would. That is perfect because
And it
up
made a
until-
noise. It went cling, cling, bang, bang, like that as she went through. You
I
know
would
it
have
did.
been like, be careful, they're important. That's the only time I would have cared about them. Just a fucking...
Because up until that moment, we hated her. You didn't. You've obviously
I
loved her
did.
the whole
She's
way.
a very nice lady.
I'm
She's
sure
just
she
more
is.
earnest than the rest of us.
Okay, you can't be earnest and do what you guys were doing. You can't.
No.
You can't. You also can't be earnest. Take a dolphin torch in and say this is God.
This is
you cannot.
Is
This
earnest
is
when
what-
you're being honest? Is that what earnest
Serious.
is? Serious.
Earnest.
Yeah, being serious. Yeah.
yeah, you can't
Earnest
be,
means like humorless optimism, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, okay, yeah,
No?
sure. But just take something really seriously.
Taking something serious.
Taking
yeah.
something
No.
seriously in a positive way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't.
humorless,
You got to be open
absolutely.
to teenagers going, "Have you rooted the other one? That's sick."
Yeah,
you got to
exactly.
laugh.
You have to laugh. And if you guys are saying these two things are friends and then it ate it, but also listen to the harp and watch that grown woman dance with a stick, and you do that seriously,
You can't.
you're
do
going to
it.
get bashed.
You can't do it.
But also you got to
can't do
go,
it seriously.
at what point do you change the production? It's like, man, we've had 17 kids say, what the fuck is going on with this dance? Can we just like, can you eat an actual fish, or what can we do to just
Yeah.
make this
Oh my God, I know.
easy?
I mean,
And then
at the
also,
end-
what's the? I mean, I kind of get the message. Like, we're friends, but it's in life. You're meant to be this, and I'm meant to be that.
I don't know
therefore-
what the message is.
Okay,
I
well,
will,
there's
say,
no-
I
yeah.
will, however, defend after all of like ragging on that production. I will defend its right to exist. Like, it is actually really fun to give a bunch of regional kids a show that makes no sense
Yeah, that
and
is
opens their
great.
eyes to the fact that art is bonkers. Like that is
Okay.
that is great, but also just it's a shame I had to be part of it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but you also got to see what you saw, which is
One of the
perhaps
greatest
one
things
of the best thing anyone's
I've ever seen.
I toured it at the end of year 12. I toured a show through Adelaide, through like regional parts of South Australia, all around during Adelaide Fringe. So we went and watched Adelaide Fringe, and then we took our show to the schools, and it was always to teenagers. And we did a really
Oh my god,
weird-
which show is this?
It was based on The Wave, which is just like
Okay.
a show about like this.
It's called
like,
busting out.
Debbie Does Dallas,
It's
and it was
called-
Puppetry of the penis.
It's
to
why there's so
teenagers.
many
The kids
songs
loved
about
it.
rainbows. Okay.
And it was really weird. There was lots of like stamping of stools. There was like we had like 3 people who were like ghosts who would like walk through and sing. None of it made sense. But I went to a school which was like really the more abstract the better.
Yeah.
And then we toured it through and in our own space at our school. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's really great," and we were like, "It is really good, isn't it?" And they were like, "Yeah, definitely, you should tour it." And we were like, well, "Okay." And then we went to South Australia, and we toured it to like these schools. They were like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Why is all these kids in South Australia the victims? Fuck your own state up. Fuck up WA.
know.
Like, no, we'll
Yeah,
go.
bruv.
Even now, we still go fuck up Adelaide when we go, okay, guys, I'm trying my new show. Is
my
this funny?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
No wonder
Yes.
Adelaide can't. They're actually not. I love Adelaide.
They're
Adelaide's,
nice.
but you know, they're
It's
burnt.
one of my favourites,
Yeah.
but you're right.
It is the
They
best
are the
fringe in the
guinea
world.
pig of all art, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. Well, we try to make it Perth Fringe, but like, you guys are too dumb. Anyway, we're going to Adelaide. I can say
Wow,
that.
he's
I'm from Perth.
burning everyone.
Yes, this is a Melbourne-specific podcast.
Yeah. But it is, I think it's that moment where you think something's going to be great and then you show it to people who are not your audience and they hate it. And then you can't be like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll wrap it up real quick. You know, when you're like bombing on stage and you're supposed to do 10 minutes
Yeah.
and you go, I'll just do 7. And then you
I
do
know.
7 and you leave. Like it's
I
never
like-
happened to me, but
This is nice.
yeah, it would never. I've seen it
It's-
happen. Yeah.
But isn't that the great thing about comedy? It's like
See ya.
if they're staring
Yeah.
at you like, what are you doing? You're just like, I'll do something different or
Yes.
I'll go.
Yeah.
And yet when you're following a script, you got to get to the end, the last word.
Yeah, and you're like, oh no, she's about to sing
But
the song about rainbows.
But I love the optimism of like just this theatre troupe going, you know who will love the arts? Regional kids who have never seen anything before and only want to kick a football or stab people.
And there's a man standing in the back holding a dolphin torch.
Yeah.
It's my turn
And you know
yet. I've
what?
got a bag of Freddos.
They didn't even get Freddos.
They didn't even get friends. They got
They got
forever
to eat
memories.
a fish in their imaginations.
And then the teacher's like, see kids, that's why we don't fund the arts at school.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
Oh
go
my
kick the
God.
football and fuck off, yeah?
Yeah, what was it? What was the paper that pulled out of advertising during Adelaide Fringe?
Oh, it was a newspaper
It was
pulled
a
out.
newspaper that pulled out. The Advertiser, perhaps?
Yeah.
And they were like, we're not supporting this because you guys didn't buy any ads with us. And everyone was like, oh no. And now maybe any of their kids who work there
Yeah.
just saw any of the shit that we send to their schools and they went, nah, don't worry about it. The future is
No
not
thanks.
art.
No
It is
thanks.
not.
No
It's
one's in any situation going, you know who will solve this? Theatre kids.
The cat will eat the fish. Also, what's the message there?
Oh no, I really don't know. I still don't know.
okay.
I still
And
think it is.
I don't
If I
think
was to break
yeah.
that down, it would be that. It's like, you know, everyone's got their thing in life and you've got to, cats
Yeah,
eat fish.
it
They're
is-
friends and they've got to go back. It doesn't make sense though.
It does look, and do you know
I'm
what? It
confused.
is really because I feel like in Australia we've massively adopted a really like a really American story around identity, which is you decide what you are. And I think that the folktale came from a time in Japan
okay.
when it was like you are what you are. You cannot fight. You cannot fight what you are born to
Our
be.
food, yeah.
And so, but of course, I don't think we did anything interesting with that little sort of cultural curiosity.
Yeah.
We just were like, oh, we better add fart jokes and also make it a dance.
Yeah.
I desperately want to know the scene. I want to know the moment.
I want to see this.
I want to see
Yeah.
the cat eating the fish. How did they dance that?
I am absolutely going to try and find that. I'm going to try and find that footage for you guys.
Please,
It was
please.
so good, especially because they were like, "What happened?" Like it didn't like physically.
It
go,
didn't impact the story or the children's understanding of the story.
They were
that
still
she fell
confused.
through.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, right.
Does this happen every week? Because this is pretty cool. Yeah.
I wish it did.
And that's how Jackass started. Yeah. That's the origin
totally.
story of Jackass.
Well, Hoops, thank you for coming onto our podcast. You had only positive ones, and then you had a story that was very interesting, but it ended positively, which is
I'm
Beautiful.
so sorry. I
so
really
disappointing.
am sorry because I would like to absolutely rip into a certain individual, and I feel like there would be professional.
Because I'm here?
Yeah,
I'll turn the
implications.
cameras off. You can just start going, he's a piece of shit, you know?
Shat his pants.
Shat his pants.
Just
But
as I walked in. Look, you couldn't get away from the dirt bike race.
I couldn't in time. But guys, thank you very much for joining us this week. I don't even know if we got at this stage, we've got social media, but like, subscribe, follow us, send in your stories. All the information will be on the back panel of this. Claire, thank you very much for joining us. I've been fired from a lot of places. I've been fired from so many places.
I went into the class one day, real bullets.
Kill me.